Joined by Craig Button and Kevin Weeks. Gentlemen, we're watching Auston Matthews put together a season for the ages. He has 350 goals in 535 games. Just for perspective, that's 26 more than Alex Ovechkin scored over that same period of time. So, Craig, who's the better goal scorer, Ovi at his best or Matthews at his best so far?
I don't think there's a yes or a no. I don't think there's a better or not. We're talking about greatness here. And greatness gets defined in different ways. Alexander Ovechkin is almost 500 goals ahead of Auston Matthews. Yes, we know what the pacing says, and Auston Matthews is great in his own way. But when we try to delineate between is Auston Matthews the greatest, he's the greatest right now. I don't think there's any question. But when you think about the way Auston Matthews scores, he does it in unique ways. Alexander Ovechkin did it in unique ways. Here's the way I define it with respect to the two of them. Everybody knew what was coming, and everybody knows what's coming with Auston Matthews, and yet nobody can stop them. And Kevin, you can speak to that as well as anybody.
Well said. I couldn't agree more, because Obi was able to blow it past you, blow it through you, and score in different ways and lead the league in hits for 7 of those years at the same time, which is absolutely absurd. But I'll take it back to the World Cup of Hockey back home in Toronto in 2016, where I asked Darryl Belfry, tell me about this Auston Matthews kid. He goes, well, it's hard to describe. Maybe I would describe him as a hybrid between a bigger Patrick Kane and a Jonathan Toews, and if you put them together and added some plus signs on it. I was like, what? But yes, with Auston Matthews, the release, you can't read it. You don't know where it's going. He shoots it off of either foot, and he makes it look effortless, which it's anything but. So they're both amazing. And wow, is hockey better for having those two elite players a part of the great sport?
Weeksy, you played against Ovi. He scored 838 career goals so far, one and only one against you, and it happened a while ago. It was the 3rd goal of his NHL career. And man, did Ovi look like a baby back then. When it comes to generational scorers like him and Matthews, what makes them so hard to stop?
Yeah, and I'm so glad, and I told Ovi this ahead of our sit-down last year on ABC that I did with him. Only one, Ovi. Only one. He's like, yeah, but it was one. He wanted to remind me that. Yeah. But, okay, so with Ovi, right, when he winds up and he goes to uncork that shot, whether it's the one-timer from the Ovi office in Washington, whether it's the wrister, whether he's on a breakaway, you cannot read where the puck is going. And let's just say for a split second, like my good buddy Henrik Lundqvist says, yeah, if you read where it's going, can you catch up to it? Can you stay in front of it? So that's kind of the deal with Ovi and what makes him so unique. With Auston Matthews, he's an absolute surgeon. Craig, I think they should protect his hands in velvet at all hours when he's not playing. Just wrap them in velvet, because his hands are absolutely magic.
Craig, Matthews is right in the middle of his prime and on a pace for 76 goals right now this year. Has he forced Brad Treliving's hand into being aggressive at the deadline to take advantage of what we're watching unfold with him?
I'm going to use the Toronto Maple Leafs lines. They've continuously talked how much they believe in the core. And Auston Matthews is a superstar amongst the very best players, and there's only a handful of them in the National Hockey League. And so you believe in the core, and you continue to see that core can continue to deliver in really meaningful ways. So you're not going to be aggressive? You're going to worry about the future? I think it's about time the Toronto Maple Leafs start worrying about the present. And the bottom line is the future is not going to help what's unfolding here with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Auston Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley, John Tavares, they have the ability to change games. They need more support around them. And so being aggressive, I would say be uber aggressive, just like Kelly McCrimmon was with the Vegas Golden Knights.
All right, Weeksy, then if the Leafs do get aggressive, UC Saros landed on the TSN trade bait board this week. He's got the rest of this year and all of next year at a very reasonable $5 million a season, not much more than they're paying Samsonov. Is he the type of franchise-altering player that you'd be willing to sell the farm to bring in?
I would definitely be willing to sell the farm, and not only for UC Saros. I know he comes in a little bit cheaper than Jacob Markstrom, but honestly, here's the thing. If you don't have a goalie, you don't have a chance. If you don't have a quarterback in football, you don't have a chance. I say this every time we're on the air. Everybody's watching the Super Bowl. They get squares. They do this. You got pizza. You're watching the Grey Cup. Where are we getting the pizza? We're getting the wings. Those teams wouldn't be there without quarterbacks. It's the same thing in hockey. We say it since, minor peewee. We've been saying the same thing. So to me, if I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm all in with Craig because I'd be all in. The Leafs believe in their build. They've got the game changers. Could you imagine what they'd look like if they got a top-end goalie?
Unbelievable, especially with what Matthews is doing right now. Just how critical has Matthews been for the Leafs this season? He's got 9 goals over his last 4 games alone. Only 5 other Leafs currently have 9 or more goals in the entire season so far.